heard more evidence about Eskom. Our reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli is in studio and he's been watching some of those proceedings. It was quite interesting that the Commission decided to invite Richard Calland to come in and give evidence. What exactly did they want from him?
I think Richard Calland's presence and evidence at the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture was just to wrap up what has been a very interesting week with various parliamentary committee members coming forward, former committee members, former chairs, and giving their evidence and giving their versions of what happened to lead to Parliament basically discarding its oversight role. Many of them giving an understanding that as far as they're concerned, the party line and towing the party line was more important, and that this is what was expected of them, and this is what they believed was their responsibility as members of the Parliament. However, he was there to give an oversight and an analysis basically about what is actually Parliament's oversight responsibilities, because we had heard during the week, during other testimonies, how Parliament had effectively, and Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo was exasperated again at this, saying that how can Parliament, not hold the executive to account, because that's what Parliament's role is, and he was there to detail exactly why Parliament should be doing that oversight role.
And it's important to have that barometer, Tumaole, because at the end of the day, many of the officials that we've had come and speak about why they were unable to exercise oversight, it was because of the input of their parties, and they felt that they were making the right decisions because of their party affiliations. And yet, even though these are elected representatives, there's a greater burden on them, to the South African public, than there is to their individual parties. Absolutely, and this is the point that
Calland made, saying that as parliamentarians, really their priority should be the national interest. When you hear about some of the failures of oversight committees, and Vincent Smith was also on the stand just yesterday, and he was testifying, about what happened in the Bosasa stream of evidence, whereby these contracts, worth billions over time, that were given to Bosasa, unduly so, while he was a chair of one of the oversight committees. How did that happen? And he tried to justify it and tried to give reasons, saying that some of the contracts were entered into before he came, but it turns out that the extensions were done under his time. We do know that, of course, now he's in the dock facing criminal charges and facing prosecution, along with Angelo Agriti, for apparently allegedly receiving monies from Bosasa and not declaring that to Parliament, which is illegal. So this is the context, and this is the understanding that many of the parliamentarians were saying, that basically we cannot bite the hand that feeds us. And Richard Calland framed that very well, saying that this is the difficulty that most parliamentarians face, because most of them, he says, that are patriotic South Africans and want to do the work that they have been elected to. However, when the party pulls rank, as we've heard through other evidence streams, that the party was more concerned about protecting the person or the office of the president of the ANC and of the country at the time, Jacob Zuma, then they have no choice, because what will then happen is that as a caucus in Parliament, those people fear that they will be singled out and pushed out, as is what happened with Makosi Khoza.
Let's talk then about the evidence that we have gone back to, and this is around Eskom.
Yes, when it comes to Eskom, we are now expecting, obviously, to hear evidence leading to what has happened with some of the contracts that they went into. Vinette Klein is going to be before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. She's been there a couple of times, and the last times that Vinette Klein was there, she was basically talking about how the executives, including Sidiso Matona and others, were effectively sidelined. Firstly, they were suspended, but then after being suspended, they were then given these exuberant payouts for them to leave. And she had some questions to answer, because in the last evidence stream, there was a big question, and her name was thrown into the mix when it came to Machela Koko's evidence, and the issue where he said that he did not know that an email address that was basically handling very critical communications in terms of Eskom's operations and in terms of the communications in the executive level of the power utility belonged to the Guptas, or was a Gupta email address. And so this question will be put to her because she was one of the people who was dealt with, dealing with communications of the executives as an executive secretary. Someone, as many executives have said, they didn't even deal with their own emails. They would be told this is what has come in, and they would then basically tell their executives, executive secretaries and others, this is what I need to do, and these people will be dealing with the email. She will have those questions to answer to say, did you know effectively that this email address that belonged to businessmen, I think it was called,
yes,
belongs to the Guptas?
It also takes place at a time that I believe the Commission has issued a summons for Brian Molefe to come back and continue giving evidence. Why did they have to issue a summons?
Well, the summons basically to compel Mr. Molefe to honor the date for him to come back. Last time that he was before the Commission of Inquiry, and it was quite an interesting, day for Brian Molefe because he came out guns blazing, and his evidence was quite explosive on the day. However, it was cut short because Mr. Molefe, there was an issue with a scare of COVID-19, so he couldn't finish his evidence stream because they had to leave.
And he said he was open to giving evidence, and in fact, I remember at some point he was lambasting the Commission for having brought him there with a summons in the first place, saying that I've been waiting for an opportunity to come and give my side of the story. So I was just interested to know if there's anything that is happening behind the scenes and why, the summons has been issued instead of just giving him a date for when he wants to appear, because he seems very eager to do that.
He seems very eager to do that, and he seems very eager to give his side of the story. But I wonder if maybe this summons isn't an extension or continuation of the previous summons. I don't think they would summons him twice, because at the last appearance he did give an undertaking that given scheduling considerations, then he would be available, and he's willing to give his side of the story. By all means, he didn't actually finish what he wanted to say, and it seems that he had a lot on his mind and a lot he wanted to put before the Commission of Inquiry.